Hi there, everybody. Today we're going to talk about how writers create mental images in the minds of their readers using certain techniques. And we're going to focus on the summer reading novel All But My Life by Gerda Weisman Klein. Before we go any further, let's actually take a look at our objectives so that you know exactly what it is that I'm expecting you to take notes about. One, you'll be learning some strategies that writers use to create mental images. And two, and this is the part you've probably never done before, you'll try to understand why writers use these specific techniques. All right? So the very first technique that we're going to talk about is one that I'm sure you've seen before, but just to be safe and so that we have the same definition, let's talk about simile. Pause the video and record this definition of simile in your notes. And then we will actually take a look at a specific example from All But My Life. All right, so here is an example of a simile from All But My Life. There's a lot of other words on the page as well, so I'm going to go ahead, pause the video, and see if you can find that example before I underline it. So I'm going to go ahead and pause, or you're going to go ahead and pause. And now, here it is. The garden house seemed to me like a gingerbread house with spun sugar thickly covering the roof. Now, why do you think that Gerda decided to compare the garden house to a gingerbread house? Well, for one reason, she may have had gingerbread houses before in her life, so she's remembering how it's similar to something she's seen before. But the second and more important reason is that Gerda may think that her readers have seen gingerbread houses before. So she knows in her head what the garden house looks like, and by comparing it to a gingerbread house, she is setting you up in the very next paragraph to realize how different her life is. You know, right next to the words gingerbread house and spun sugar, she talks about now they have no food, they have no heat, and their lives are terrible. So that is the first literary device that we're going to use sensory details for, and that is the simile. Now let's go on to our next literary device. All right, the next literary device we're going to talk about is metaphor. Now I'm going to go ahead and hide that for a minute. If you look, the metaphor is a comparison of two unlike things, but instead of having like or as, there's no like and there's no as. So this page right here I'm going to blow up so that you can actually see it, and we're going to find the metaphor, okay? Now, if you look right here, you kind of have to dig, and there's lots of things in this paper, in this section. But pause the video and see if you can find the metaphor that's visible on the screen. And then I will actually underline that metaphor for you. So pause the video, find what you think it is, and here it is. The yellow flowers on Mama's black housecoat seemed to be burning. She's comparing the flowers to something that burns. And actually, the flowers are a metaphor throughout the novel. It's a metaphor for freedom. Wherever you find flowers, there's a deep connection to freedom. And by having the flowers be on fire in this moment, that is a really powerful metaphor to tell you that their freedom is ending. There's lots of other things in that stanza, in that paragraph as well, but that is the metaphor. Now, why is she including that metaphor in this section? She wants you to realize how amazingly different their lives are at this point. So she is showing you that in her mind's eye, everything has been transformed. And so that is why she is using the flowers being burning as a metaphor. Okay, and we got one more that we're going to do, and that is sensory details. Now, you've probably heard of sensory details before, and when you heard them before, you probably heard them as imagery. But sensory details and imagery are the same thing. And it looks like I'm running out of time, so I will finish sensory details in my next video. And keep watching.